Welcome you all for my today's class. So today we are going to discuss on a topic of endometrial sampling or endometrial biopsy. So endometrial sampling is one of the diagnostic tests most frequently performed as an outpatient procedure. So you don't need any special anesthesia or any special procedure for it. Means simple procedure it is that which can be done on the OPD basis. This test is rapid, safe and inexpensive test, and it is employed in the clinical workup of women with infertility or abnormal uterine bleeding, or for a periodic screening during the hormone replacement therapy HRT. The instrument commonly used is either a Vibra aspirator or a Sherman's curate. So here we use a Vibra aspirator or a Sherman's curate, or even we can use a endometrial sampler or Pipelet. So currently the endometrial sampler or Pipelet is used as an outpatient procedure. So a thin plastic cannula, which is about 2 to 4 mm in diameter, with a plunger within, is negotiated within the uterus. It is done as an outpatient procedure. When the plunger is withdrawn, the adequate endometrium is obtained due to the suction action. So here we need to obtain the sample of endometrium or a few bits of endometrium for the examination. When the plunger is withdrawn, adequate endometrium is obtained due to the suction action, and this procedure is reliable and it is accepted by the patient, and it is less expensive, say here, with the help of a Pipelet or even with the help of a plastic cannula with the under the suction we can obtain the sample of the endometrium. Later we can collect it into a clean jar and can send for the microscopic examination. So coming to the indication of endometrial sampling, indications of endometrial sampling includes the dysfunction uterine bleeding, that is the DUB, abnormal bleeding following the use of hormone replacement therapy, abnormal bleeding following the use of hormone replacement therapy, abnormal perimenopause or menopausal bleeding. Pipelet is the instrument of first choice for the endometrial sampling. The failure rate of the procedure is less than 8%. To study the hormonal effect, material from the fundus of the uterus and the upper part of the body is to be taken. However, additional diagnostic procedures such as hysteroscopy should be done when needed. When a large tissue mass is needed for histological sites studies, a thorough endometrial curettage is to be done under the anesthesia, or as in cases of endometrial tuberculosis or postmenopausal bleeding. So if you want to take a larger sample for the histological examination, or you want to do a complete uterine curettage DNC, which is called as dilatation, and the curettage or entire curettage or the endometrial cavity you want to do is, then you need to go for the anesthesia. Under anesthesia you can go to do this procedure, especially in cases of endometrial TB, tuberculosis or postmenopausal bleeding cases. Okay, otherwise if you want to take a simple sample in other cases like for DUB, abnormal bleeding, postmenopausal bleeding, etc., then a sample is enough. With the help of any Pipelet or any plastic cannula you can collect the sample. So that is called as endometrial sampling. Endometrial biopsy, the most reliable method to study the endometrium is by obtaining the material by curettage after dilatation of the cervix, usually under general anesthesia. Endometrial sampler is used. Same method is there, but the thing is, if you want to go for the biopsy or a complete biopsy of a complete endometrium, then you can do it after with a procedure called as DNC, dilatation and curettage of the cervix. That is, first you have to dilate the cervix and curettage the cavity. DNC, dilatation and curettage. This is the endometrial sampler which is used to collect the endometrium. See here, this is the method of procedure. First inserting the cusco speculum, then withholding the upper lip of the cervix with the help of a valsalum, and then slowly inserting the cannula attached with a syringe, or you can say here the Pipelet is attached, or a plastic cannula is attached with a syringe, and a vacuum is created, and with this, under the suction, you can collect the sample of the endometrium. This is called as endometrial sampling or the biopsy. Next is the cervical biopsy. Cervical biopsy, to confirm the clinical diagnosis of a cervical pathology, biopsy is mandatory. It can be done in the outpatient department or in the indoor also. Biopsy can be taken safely at the outpatient department if the pathology is detectable, but for wider tissue excision, as in the cone biopsy, it should be done as it's an inpatient procedure. So there are different types of cervical biopsies available, like cone biopsy, punch biopsy, etc. Next procedure is called as culdocentesis. Culdocentesis. So here the definition, as the name itself suggests, culdo is related with the cul-de-sac or the pouch of Douglas POD. Synthesis is nothing but the aspiration of fluid. Whenever we are using the term synthesis, means we are extracting or aspirating the fluid present there. So culdocentesis, so as the name itself suggests, the definition of culdocentesis goes like this. Culdocentesis is the transvaginal aspiration of the peritoneal fluid from the cul-de-sac or the POD, pouch of Douglas. So it is nothing but the aspiration through the vaginal side of a peritoneal fluid which is present in the cul-de-sac or the POD, pouch of Douglas. Indication: in suspected disturbed ectopic pregnancy or other causes producing hemoperitoneum. Hemoperitoneum is nothing but the presence of blood inside the peritoneum cavity, or in cases of ectopic pregnancy which is disturbed. So in such cases you can go for culdocentesis. Are in suspected cases of pelvic abscess, if you are suspecting the presence of any pelvic abscess, in cases of pelvic infection there are chances of pelvic abscess, then also you can go for culdocentesis. Steps: the procedure is done under the sedation. The patient is put in the lithotomy position. Vagina is cleaned with the betadine. A posterior vaginal speculum is inserted. An 18 gauge spinal needle is fitted with a syringe. So 18 gauge spinal needle is to be fitted with the syringe, and it is inserted at a point 1 centimeter below the cervicovaginal junction in the posterior fornix. So through the posterior fornix we are inserting a needle which is attached with the syringe. Where we have to insert is 1 centimeter below the cervicovaginal junction through the posterior vaginal fornix. After inserting the needle to a depth of about 2 centimeters, so how deep we have to insert is, we have to insert the needle up to 2 centimeter deep. Suction is applied as the needle is withdrawn. Then we have to withdraw the needle so that a suction is created. If unclotted blood is obtained, the diagnosis of intraperitoneal bleeding is established. If no blood or fluid is obtained, the needle is withdrawn slowly while intermediate suction should be maintained. If the tap is found dry, another attempt is to be made. So this is the method of culdocentesis, and here is the site of entry of a needle. You can see just 2 centimeter below the cervicovaginal junction, and here's the procedure. The needle is attached with the syringe. You can see here the equipment needed. These are the instruments needed. Spinal syringe attached with spinal needle attached with the syringe is important, and local anesthetic and speculum etc. needed. So indications is diagnosis of acute pelvic condition when the ultrasound is not available or clinically feasible, ruptured viscous pelvic inflammatory disease or other intra-abdominal infections, splenic or liver injuries, ruptured aortic aneurysm. Contraindication is uncooperative patient, pelvic mass detected on bimanual examination, non-mobile retroverted uterus and coagulopathies. Complication: rupture of unsuspected TO, abscess, bowel perforation, pelvic kidney perforation and bleeding. So these are the method of doing culdocentesis. So this completes the culdocentesis procedure. Thank you.